Welcome to the Echo of the Soul. Chosen ones, there are moments in life when everything appears frozen. The same accusations, the same misunderstandings, the same people repeating the same stories as though repetition could somehow transform fiction into fact. For a long time, it can feel as though the world has already decided who you are without ever taking the time to truly see you. But there is something many people fail to understand about truth. Truth does not need an audience to remain true. It does not weaken because it is ignored. It does not disappear because a crowd chooses a more convenient narrative. It simply waits. And when the moment is right, it reveals itself with a force so undeniable that entire environments begin to shift around it. But before we go deeper, subscribe to the Echo of the Soul and leave a like. These messages are reaching those who were meant to hear them. Those who have walked through seasons of misunderstanding and emerged stronger than before. Every subscription helps this message travel further and find the people who need it most. Now listen carefully. Something strange happens when a lie survives for too long. The people who created it begin to trust it. The people who repeated it begin to depend on it. And eventually an entire environment can become organized around an illusion. What began as a distortion slowly becomes accepted reality, not because it is true, but because few people have taken the time to examine it closely. You know this feeling. You have watched people form opinions before hearing your side. You have watched assumptions become facts in the minds of others. You have seen reactions judged while the causes behind them were ignored. You have experienced what it feels like to be viewed through fragments rather than through the complete picture. And for a while, it may have seemed as though nothing would ever change. Yet something remarkable occurs when the right person finally looks deeper. Not the loudest person, not the most emotional person, not the person most invested in maintaining appearances, but someone with discernment. Someone who pays attention to patterns instead of rumors. Someone who studies actions rather than narratives. The moment such a person begins connecting the dots, the illusion starts to crack. Because truth has a unique characteristic. It remains consistent. Falsehoods constantly need adjustments. They require explanations, excuses, revisions, and new versions to survive. Truth simply stands where it always stood. And this is where many of your opponents made their greatest mistake. They assumed that because you remained calm, you were weak. They assumed that because you did not constantly defend yourself, you had nothing to defend. They assumed that because you chose restraint over chaos, nobody would ever question the story being told about you. But restraint is often misunderstood. The strongest people are rarely the loudest. The most dangerous people are rarely the most aggressive. And the individuals carrying the deepest wisdom often speak the least. You survived situations that were designed to exhaust you. You endured pressure that would have pushed many people toward bitterness. You faced misunderstanding without allowing it to transform you into someone you were never meant to become. That kind of endurance leaves evidence. And evidence creates patterns. Eventually, someone notices. They notice that while everyone else's stories keep changing, yours remains the same. They notice that while others constantly revise their explanations, your actions continue to align with your words. They notice that despite every attempt to discredit you, you continue moving forward with the same integrity you possessed from the beginning. This realization changes everything. Because the moment someone sees the complete pattern, the narrative surrounding you no longer makes sense. Suddenly, the accusations seem inconsistent. The timelines stop matching. The motives appear questionable. The contradictions become impossible to ignore. And once clarity arrives, it arrives quickly. Many people imagine that justice unfolds slowly. Sometimes it does. But sometimes justice moves with startling speed. The reason is simple. The delay was never caused by a lack of evidence. The delay was caused by a lack of awareness. The moment awareness arrives, action often follows immediately. This is why certain shifts feel so dramatic. One day people dismiss your concerns. The next day, those same individuals become strangely cautious. One day, your perspective is ignored. The next day, people begin listening very carefully. One day, doors remain closed. The next day, those same doors begin opening without explanation. To outside observers, it looks sudden. To those who understand patterns, it is simply the natural consequence of truth finally reaching the right mind. And there is something almost ironic about what happens next. The same individuals who once doubted you begin adjusting their behavior. Some become unusually polite. Others grow silent. Others attempt to rewrite history and act as though they supported you all along. Why? Because once a false narrative collapses, everyone connected to it feels the impact. Those who benefited from misunderstandings suddenly find themselves exposed. Those who relied on distortion suddenly discover that distortion no longer protects them. Their confidence fades because the foundation beneath it was never stable. It was built on agreement rather than reality. An agreement can disappear overnight. The truth is that your greatest strength was never your ability to fight. It was your ability to remain yourself while others were losing themselves. That consistency became a mirror. Without intending to, you exposed the instability around you simply by remaining stable. You revealed dishonesty by remaining honest. You revealed manipulation by remaining authentic. You revealed chaos by refusing to participate in it. People underestimate how powerful that is. They assume power belongs to whoever controls the loudest voice. But real power often belongs to whoever remains unchanged when pressure is applied. Pressure reveals character. Pressure reveals motives. Pressure reveals intentions. And over time, pressure revealed something extraordinary about you. You were never the source of the problem. You were the constant variable. While everyone else shifted, adapted, contradicted themselves, and chased new narratives, you remained aligned with the same principles. Eventually, someone saw that. Eventually, someone recognized that the instability surrounding you did not originate from you. It originated from those attempting to control perception. That realization forced a correction. Not because anyone felt sorry for you. Not because anyone wanted to rescue you. But because reality itself demanded it. Many people misunderstand protection. They believe protection is emotional. They believe protection comes from sympathy. In truth, the strongest forms of protection emerge from recognition. Someone recognized your value. Someone recognized your consistency. Someone recognized that allowing harm to continue would create consequences greater than stopping it. And once that calculation was made, intervention became inevitable. The most fascinating part is that real defenders rarely announce themselves. They do not seek applause. They do not posture. They do not make dramatic speeches. Their influence appears through results. The atmosphere changes. The behavior of others changes. The rules suddenly seem different. People who once acted fearlessly become cautious. People who once controlled conversations lose their influence. People who once relied on manipulation find that their methods no longer work. The defender remains mostly unseen. Yet their presence is felt everywhere. That is how genuine power operates. Quietly, precisely, decisively. And perhaps the greatest irony of all is this. The individuals who attempted to undermine you helped create the very conditions that led to your protection. Every contradiction left a trail. Every deception created evidence. Every attempt to distort reality generated patterns that could eventually be traced. While they believed they were controlling the story, they were actually documenting it. And when someone finally reviewed the entire picture, those patterns became impossible to ignore. What appeared to be a sudden reversal was never sudden. It was the culmination of countless observations finally connecting together. The truth had been speaking the entire time. Someone finally listened. So if your environment feels different lately, if certain people seem uncomfortable around you, if attitudes have shifted without explanation, if opportunities are appearing where resistance once existed, understand what may be happening. The narrative is collapsing. The illusion is fading. The truth is reaching places it could not reach before. And once enough people see reality clearly, the old structure cannot survive. Because no matter how long darkness occupies a room, it only takes a single light to reveal what was there all along. You were never the problem. You were never what they claimed. You were simply standing in the middle of a story that had not yet reached its ending. Now the ending is changing. Now the balance is shifting. Now the truth is finding its voice. And once truth begins speaking for itself, no one can silence it for long.